After reports emerged yesterday of the Maple Leafs trying to sign one of, or both of, Alex Kerfoot and David Kampf, Toronto has finally pulled the trigger on one of them. And they might do it on another one too. You're going to have to wait until the end of the video to find out. Hello, my name is Nick Barton. I'm a hockey reporter from Toronto who's covered the Toronto Marlies for the last 3 seasons. If you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. If you really enjoy it and you're not subscribed yet, make sure to hit the subscription button down below. But now let's talk about who the Maple Leafs signed and how long this deal might go for. According to Chris Johnston, the Maple Leafs have re-signed David Kampf, and David Kampf's 4-year extension, according to Chris Johnston, with the Maple Leafs officially carries a $2.4 million AAV. Now, this is surprising because when I did make a video yesterday on the fact that the Maple Leafs were circling around both Kerfoot and Kampf, I thought they would be a little bit more equal in terms of how much money they would get in terms of an AAV, and I thought that AAV would come around $1.5 million, but to see it go $1 million higher than that, I'm not sure a lot of Leafs Nation likes it. There are two sides of this thing. I mean, you get a really good, sound defensive player here, and that's a really, really good thing. But at the end of the day as well, you're also paying $2.5 million for a guy who's not very good offensively, and he could be on the 4th line at center. So the defensive side comes with a cost, but is it worth $2.5 million per year for the next 4 seasons? According to James Myrtle, there was belief that Kampf could command up to $3 million plus on the open market, but he clearly wanted to stay in Toronto. This number feels okay. Again, it feels okay, but it also feels like the Leafs overpaid just a smidge, possibly, in my opinion. I mean, again, his numbers weren't horrible in the offensive zone, but they also weren't the best, and they also, to me, weren't up to the standards of a player who would get paid $2.5 million per year for the next 4 seasons. He's 28 years old, so it'll take him to 32, and I think that's not the worst part of this deal. It's, again, the fact that he likely got over $1 million in an overpay, but at the end of the day, too, it's not the end of the world in reality, and that's what I think. And from The Athletic's Shayna Goldman, there's definitely bigger things to worry about in Toronto than a bottom 6 center, but this is a bit rich for David Kampf for 4 years. Now, she added a photo along with this tweet of his underlying numbers and the model and contract value that he was projected to get. And again, it doesn't look good from the Maple Leafs perspective, but at the end of the day too, he isn't the worst player defensively. He's very good defensively. Offensively, he's not the worst. And at the end of the day, the Leafs need depth guys, and they need good defensive depth guys as well. You're not always going to just need to rely on offensive capabilities here. And I think, when you look at the Maple Leafs and you look at whether they wanted to sign Kerfoot or Kampf, it looks like they might want to side with one rather than going with both, and Kampf was the answer. However, according to The Athletic's Joshua Kloke, adding on David Kampf news sounds like the Leafs continue to see if a deal with Alex Kerfoot can get done. Cap space will dictate if it happens. Now, the Kampf signing did surprise me, but this little tidbit of news also surprised me, maybe even more than Kampf signing, because at the end of the day, like I said previously, it seems like the Leafs wanted to get one of 2 players done, not 1 and 2 of the players done, and get them locked up. So it's interesting to see that while David Kampf is now fully in the Maple Leafs plans, Kerfoot still might be in the Maple Leafs plans as well. But let me know what you think. Do you think this David Kampf deal for 4 years with a $2.4 million AAV was good for the Maple Leafs? Was it an overpay? And what do you think about this Alexander Kerfoot news that he might return to the Leafs as well? Put it all in the comment section down below. Your opinions, your thoughts, everything like that. Now, before I do want to end off the video, there is some more news on the William Nylander front and Ryan O'Reilly from Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts on Wednesday morning, and he talked a little bit about William Nylander and how it might not look like the Leafs are going to get him signed by July 1st, and if that's the case, what is the future with the Maple Leafs and William Nylander? He also, again, talked about Ryan O'Reilly and the fact that negotiations have been a roller coaster. At times, Friedman said it looked like they were very close on a contract, and at other times it looked like they weren't close at all, and, that's an interesting tidbit because at the end of the day, Ryan O'Reilly was always a mystery of whether or not he's going to return, and it looks like as of right now, there's more of a possibility that he returns than he heads to free agency and signs with another team. Friedman lastly also talked about defensemen and that Brad Treliving checked in on a lot of defensemen who could be on the market. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting time, especially tonight in the draft and tomorrow, and how everything's going to play out. But that was the news of the day. David Kampf re-signs with the Maple Leafs at $2.4 million AAV for 4 years. William Nylander, we don't know if he's going to re-sign. O'Reilly as well, same thing. Austin Matthews, we are pretty much confident that he will re-sign, just probably not by July 1st. It'll probably be after that. And yeah, the Leafs are looking at defensemen. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few days leading up to free agency, what happens after that. That, though, is where I'm going to end off today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like. If you really enjoyed it, subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, hit the notification bell down below so you get an upload notification for every time I post a video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.